There is a kind of truth that only becomes visible after experience has already done its work. Betrayal rarely comes head-on. It does not usually announce itself. It does not arrive with a warning. It does not introduce itself as a danger. More often, it arrives disguised as closeness. It comes with familiarity. It comes through shared conversations, shared time, shared presence. And that is what makes it difficult to recognize early on, because the person who ends up hurting you is rarely a stranger. It is the one who learned your routines, the one who noticed your silences, the one who understood your weak points, not through conflict, but through trust. And slowly, without realizing it, what you thought was a connection becomes access. Access to your behavior, access to your patterns, access to your emotional structure. And when that access is given without awareness, trust becomes exposure. Not every open door is wisdom. Trusting without judgment is not nobility, it is carelessness. There is a difference between being open and being unguarded, between being kind and being unprotected, between having a generous heart and having no boundaries at all. Because opening your life to anyone who shows interest does not reflect the depth of your heart. It reflects the absence of structure around it. Not everyone who sits near you deserves to understand what is behind your calm. Not everyone who shares your time deserves access to your inner world. And this is where many people get hurt repeatedly. Not because they are wrong to trust, but because they trust without distinction. Some people do not need to hate you to harm you. They do not operate from hostility. They do not arrive with open aggression. They do not always show obvious warning signs. Instead, it is enough that they lack principles. They observe, they adapt, they study, they smile, and they stay close enough to understand where you are vulnerable. And when the moment comes, they act without hesitation, without remorse, without emotional conflict. Because their actions are not impulsive, they are consistent with who they have always been. Not loyal people make mistakes, but unfaithful behavior is waiting for an opportunity. This is why presence can be misleading. Many people confuse time spent together with loyalty. They assume that shared experiences automatically create strong bonds, that proximity guarantees reliability, that familiarity equals safety. But time alone does not reveal loyalty. It only reveals access. And not everyone present is present with you. Some are simply present around you. There is a difference between sharing space and sharing intention, between being nearby and being aligned. And missing that difference can cost more than people realize. Character is not only revealed in moments of visibility, it is revealed in moments of choice, when no one is watching, and also when someone has the opportunity to harm you and chooses not to. That is where trust is actually tested, not in words, not in promises, but in restraint. And restraint is not accidental. It is proven over time, in small situations, in ordinary moments, in decisions that seem insignificant until they are not. This is why betrayal is not always a sudden event. Sometimes it is the result of a long pattern of behavior that was never questioned early enough. Learning to be more aware of this does not make you cold. It does not make you distant. It does not make you incapable of trust. It makes you conscious. It sharpens your observation. It teaches you to listen beyond words, to notice consistency instead of charm, to pay attention to behavior instead of intention. Because intentions are easy to present, but behavior reveals reality. And awareness changes how you move through relationships, It is not about closing yourself off from everyone. It is about understanding access. Not everyone should have the same level of emotional entry into your life. Not everyone should be given the same depth of trust. Not everyone should be allowed to observe your vulnerabilities up close. Because the deepest harm rarely comes from strangers. It comes from proximity combined with knowledge. From someone who knew where you were soft, who understood where you were open, who learned the exact path to affect you, and then made a decision. That is what defines real betrayal. Not distance, not ignorance, but closeness used without integrity. And once you understand that, something shifts. You stop measuring people by how long they have been around. You start measuring them by how they behave when it matters. You stop assuming safety based on familiarity, and you start observing consistency over time. Because trust is not something you give once and forget. It is something you evaluate continuously, not from fear, but from clarity. And in that clarity, you begin to protect something important. Not just your time, not just your energy, but your inner stability. Because in the end, the goal is not to distrust the world. The goal is to stop confusing closeness with safety. And once you see that clearly, you understand something essential. The most dangerous people are not always the ones far away. They are the ones who stood close enough to be trusted and chose not to be. If you love this video, make sure to like this and subscribe to this channel for more content like this.